Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Ekua Moses, and I am an engineering teacher here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Today, it's 119 degrees outside, and I'm in the house. Can't go much of anywhere, so I've been doing a lot of Netflix and chilling and consuming a lot of other people's content online. So I thought, why don't I share some of the things that I've been reading? I've been reading this book, as you can see it on the screen here, Rise and Thrive with Science, teaching pre-K through fifth grade science and engineering. And Nancy Kober, I'm not sure if that's how you say her last name, but this book is amazing. As an engineering teacher, I teach over 700 students not each day, but through our school and on a 6-day rotation. And as I was reading this book, as I am reading this book, because I'm not even done, I've gotten more than halfway through, and I'm like, I'm not going to let perfection be the enemy of sharing what I have noticed so far. I'm just going to share in the best way that I know how, and I hope that you enjoy it or get some value out of what I'm sharing, because truly that's the only reason I'm doing it, is hopefully to help some educator somewhere maybe be inspired to do engineering with their students in a new way, or add some things to what you're currently doing. So as I'm reading this book, I noticed she went to page 71, and on page 71, she talks about 7 different characteristics of an effective design task for instruction. So when we're planning challenges for our students, what is effective? What should we be looking for? What should we be doing? It's not just a matter of just doing STEM activities. It's the minds-on piece that brings it to a whole nother level that we want to strive for. And so those 7 characteristics, I'm just going to read them to you. And I didn't put them on the screen on purpose, so that way you can kind of follow up, and you can get this book either online for free. They have a free download of the text, or if you're like me and you want to print it out so that way you can tag that page for yourself, you can get it through your online booksellers as well. But the 7 characteristics we should be thinking are to introduce a clearly defined problem or support children in scoping out problems themselves. The second characteristic is are interesting and relevant to children's lives. So our task should be interesting and relevant to children's lives. We should encourage children to consider the users and social implications of their designs. And I'm going to stop there because that is the one that triggered me to make this video. And I was thinking about other videos that I can make too, and maybe I'll go back to some of the other characteristics, but I just wanted to get your brain wet with a little bit of them. So let's zoom in on the one where she says responsive to users and social implications. So an effective design task, one that we give our students, a challenge we give our students, will encourage children to consider potential users and the social implications of the design solution in the planning stages and throughout the design process. Then she goes on later and says, identifying the needs of potential users of a design can emphasize the human element of engineering design and motivate children to persist. So if you think about all those students who give up on challenges, this is too hard, I can't do this. But if we get that human element to it, it could motivate children to persist, to finish that task that's multi-step and gets them really thinking. Skipping forward, she says, by creating a narrative that focuses on the needs of family members, the task seeks to deepen the emotional engagement of children, particularly girls, in engineering practices. So we've talked a lot about how can we get girls more interested, how can we get all students involved in the STEM fields. And so this is one way I thought would be really important, is how do we get that human element? How do we get their interest? How do we find that piece with their family members? And so one of the strategies that I do is by helping students articulate their thinking, I give them sentence stems or sentence starters. And as you can see on this paper, I have different purposes for the sentence starters, but I like to start right from the beginning. What are you interested in? And asking the students. And then if you can see these bullets here in the yellow box there, there's lots of different starters that the students can use. And I tell them based on, I try to set a goal for each grade level, whether it's 3 sentences or 4 sentences or 5 sentences, or give them a stretch goal and say 6 sentences. And these are just scaffolds. They're temporary supports. They're not something that they have to use, but for those students who would like some ideas of how to frame their thinking or expand on their thinking, these are a good start. So let's give you an example of using this. How can we get that human element in there? How can we find our students' interests? So at the beginning of a unit, I had a lot of cardboard that I sourced from friends, from the food service workers. I asked the people in the cafeteria if they could save the boxes for me, the clean ones, of course. I used my little zip snip tool that you can see there to snip all those boxes and make them convenient for storage. And I had these when the students walked in my room. And I said, look at all this cardboard that we have. What are we going to make? Why should we make it? Who could we help with this? And so I gave them just some basic ideas by reading Pete the Cat's Groovy Imagination. And that book sets up the narrative as she's talking about the story that we want to get going. And then I gave them those sentence stems and I asked them to write to these 2 prompts that you can see on their screen. And this student is a 5th grader, and I'm going to show you all 5th grade examples today. This student said, this school year, I want to build a house that is small because it would be a good decoration in my room. See the purpose? Do you see the human element in what the student is saying? I would need cardboard and glue and maybe scissors. If I don't want the house, I would give it to my brother. I'm successful when I use my imagination. So again, the human element is there for purpose, for self. We build for ourselves to solve our own problems, to decorate our own house, or give it to my brother. And just like with any interest survey that we do with even adults or with students, it's important to follow up and show them that we heard them, that what they said mattered. So I showed that exact paper I just showed you. I put it on the screen as the students came in and I said, today we're going to be building a house. You could use this as for decoration for yourself, or you could give this to your brother or sibling, just like this writer said in the paper. And so I want the students to be seen and set the purpose. So we use these notch craft sticks and cardboard to create houses. Here's another example. A student said, I want to build a car because I think it would be cool. I would need tissue for the windows and cardboard for the base of the car. I would give my car to my baby brother. A successful model looks finished. And so if you can see over here, I rightly do not care what these models end up looking like. I want them to do the best that they can, and I support them along the way. And you can see that also at the end, we reflect on how that design process went. At the end of the year, it was interesting to see what the students came up with as well. This student said, and actually I'm going to go back because this is another one. I really want to make sure that you see this one. This one said, I want to build a car because it will be a fun and difficult challenge. I wonder if the car could move by itself. Well, in fact, it did. And when I showed this to the students, I asked that question. I wonder if we could make a car that moved. And in fact, we could. We used those plastic wheels and metal rods there and made those chassis. The student said, I would give it to my nephew. And here's the human element I really liked in this paper. It said, I would give it to my nephew because he doesn't have lots of toy cars for his action figures. A successful car looks like a toy that my nephew would have fun playing with it. And think about this, a 4th grader who is an uncle, who has a nephew. And that's amazing, learning more about our students and their home lives and how he's thoughtful of this nephew. I think that's fantastic. And it makes them want to, as the author said, to persist in the challenge. So that way they can have something to take home to their nephew. And then at the end of the year, as I was mentioning, this car experience came up a lot in their writing. I had them reflect at the end of the year about the design challenges we did. And again, I give them sentence stems as a scaffold or a support to help them articulate and explain their thinking. And this is what one student said. And they used the sentence starter this time. My favorite challenge was, and the student says, my favorite challenge was building the car because I thought my brother would like it too. Also, because I could test how fast it could go at home. And I really like that for two reasons. Again, the human element of it, about the brother being in there, and also the connection to home. I could test it. I like that word test. You know, that's a part of the engineering design process is testing and improving and going back and forth with that. And I like how the student wanted to continue that at home. That's what we want. We want to hook them, get them excited, test it in all kinds of ways, and take it even higher than anything that we did in class. So that was exciting to see that in the end of year reflection. This is another student's paper, and this student said, I want to build a cat. I want to build a cat because cats are my favorite animal. I wonder if I can also create the body as well, if there's time to make the head. I would give the cat to my dad because he loves animals as much as I do. A successful cat would look detailed and cute. And again, I put that cardboard that you can see in that metal tin at the top of your paper, up top of the screen, all kinds of different pieces. And I gave the cardboard and I challenged them to make an animal of any choosing that they would like. And this is some of the products that our students came up with. And I like that human element. I'd give it to my dad. Again, that's motivating. Who's the purpose? What's the reason behind doing that? This student asked to build a jellyfish. And the student said, I want to build a jellyfish because my older sister loves them. I wonder if my jellyfish will turn out to look like a jellyfish. I would give it to my older sister because I know she would love it. A successful jellyfish looks like a blob and would have strips of foil. I would like something like glitter because it would make the jellyfish look magical. Well, we can't do everything that all of our students would ask us for. Again, I have over 700 students. It is not possible for me to complete every single thing they ask. But the good thing about this is she was able or he was able to create an animal of their choosing. So if they chose to do a jellyfish, that was their choice. But I didn't provide the glitter. Glitter in my classroom is not happening. I've done that in the past, not doing it again. And all power to those of you who choose to use glitter with your students. That's great. But I choose not to. So at home, I do encourage them at the end of class. I'm like, hey, this would be a great thing to try at home. If we didn't get to yours, try it at home. And that's why I like using basic, inexpensive materials like cardboard that they can easily source at home in case we don't get to it at school. Another one we didn't get to at school is this one, but I want to show in my classroom anyway. This student said, I want to learn more about sewing because I want to help kids that don't have toys or plushies. Again, that human element. What's that purpose behind doing this? I would give my plushies to other kids and my family. I'm successful when I pay attention and focus. And this should be for older kids, the student said. Well, thank you for that tip. Absolutely, with older students. I didn't have time to include sewing in the instruction of what I was doing with my students, but that didn't stop me from suggesting this to the art teacher. So I went to the art teacher. Well, actually, the art teacher and I collaborate quite frequently. And I showed the art teacher this paper And sure enough, the art teacher was able to include a sewing unit for the student. And the art teacher took a copy of this paper. I don't know if she showed it to her students, but at least if you can't do it with me and you may not have the opportunity to get home, there's another staff member who might be able to get it too. So that's why sharing with our colleagues and collaborating is so important as well. One last one I want to share with you today. The student said, I want to make a cardboard bag because I want something that I can put my stuff in. I would need cardboard, color paper, and crayons to color it when I'm done. My last reason is I know where I put my stuff. Success would look like a bag that can hold different items. So this was an option during Makerspace. And sometimes I have open design time where you can make anything. And so even though I'm not going to show you as a teacher step by step to step how to make a cardboard bag, you can make your own cardboard bag how you choose to make it. It's just one of the options out there and an idea I will put out there that a student gave me. Again, this is student driven, interest based, and I love how the students are developing their identities of who they are in STEM and how they can use engineering to help themselves, help their family, help their community. That's just what gives me goosebumps, and it makes me so excited about teaching engineering that these students are going to, in fact, change the world. So after all that I've said today, briefly and quickly on this video where I'm just pouring my thoughts out to you, what did you notice? Maybe I didn't point it out, or what are some of the good things that you saw that my students are doing? What do you wonder? Do you have questions about anything? I want to remind you that this book, the Rise and Thrive with Science book that I referenced today, is available free online. I'll put a link to it. There is actually a link when you go on my website to the recommended reading at the top of the page of the engineering tab on my website. It's in the recommended reading. There's a link to it. And again, you can read the book for free online, or you can go to a bookseller like Amazon. I ordered mine through Amazon, but I'm sure other booksellers have them as well. And then you can add all these post-its and tags and highlight and do all the good stuff I do. Also, if you're interested in the sentence stems that I'm using, this printable that you can see here is offered free on my website too. I am not in it, but to help teachers and to give you ideas. We all certainly need them. And also family members who want to do these things with their students, their children at home as well. I encourage you, please like, share this video, all those good YouTube things. Please leave me a comment with what you notice, what you wonder, and other questions that you may have, because I'm sure you have some. I will do my best to answer them. I like to share what I learn on Facebook, on Twitter, which is now X, Instagram. I even have a TikTok. I don't use it as much, but that doesn't mean that I'm not there. Please do reach out. I would love to get to know you more, and I would like to hear how maybe this helps you. So thanks again.